Welcome to Backbone Unlimited. My name is Matt Hartsky. In this episode, we're breaking down one of the most emotionally charged and misunderstood parts of elk hunting, whether you should call more, call less, or not call at all. Overcalling and undercalling ruin more encounters than bad shooting, bad wind, or bad setups. They happen because hunters try to force elk into a script instead of responding to what the elk are actually doing in the moment. Calling is situational. Calling must match your role, solo, paired, or full team. Calling must match herd dynamics. Calling must match the mood of the bull. Calling must match the terrain, thermals, and proximity. But most hunters don't evaluate that whole situation. They call because they want something to happen, not because the situation calls for it. And that leads to four of the most common problems. Calling when you shouldn't, not calling when you should, calling like a caller, not like an elk, drawing elk in versus giving away your location. This episode is going to bring clarity to all of that. You're going to walk away with an actual calling framework that keeps you from sabotaging your own opportunities. In section 1, we're going to talk about why calling is situational, not a simple script. Most hunters approach calling like it's a routine or a tactic they learned from a YouTube video. They go in thinking, I'm going to cold call here. I'm going to locate bugle now. I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to run a slow play. I'm just going to bugle until he answers. All of those strategies can work, but none of them work all of the time, and none of them work simply because you want them to. Elk calling is situational. It depends completely on the mood of the bull, the position of the cows, the terrain, the wind, the distance, the time of day, and the pressure level. The biggest mistake a lot of hunters make is trying to create action through calling rather than responding to the actual situation unfolding in front of them. Here's how situational calling works. If a bull is moving with cows, calling should be subtle and supportive. He's not looking for a fight, he wants control. Cow calls and soft contact sounds tell him the herd is stable. If a bull is alone and searching, calling can be bolder. He's vulnerable, he's curious, he's willing to talk. If a bull is bedded midday, calling is dangerous unless you know the wind perfectly. A single bad thermal shift and the bull leaves silently. If a bull is screaming his head off, calling less often works better than calling more. The more fired up he is, the more your job is to stay invisible. If there's heavy hunting pressure, calling often hurts more than it helps. Pressured bulls know what a hunter sounds like. They know what a fake herd sounds like. They know what an unnatural sequence sounds like. Calling works, but only when it matches the reality of the situation, not the fantasy you want. In section 2, we're going to talk about why solo hunters need a completely different strategy. Most calling advice online is built around a caller-shooter team. Caller stays behind, shooter moves up, caller keeps the bull focused, shooter cuts the distance, bull comes in looking past the shooter. But when you're solo, that entire system collapses. As a solo hunter, every sound you make is linked directly to your exact location. You can't just throw a sound backwards. You can't just shift positions. You can't just anchor the bull. You can't move while calling necessarily without being heard. The moment you make a call as a solo hunter, you create a pinpoint on the map that the bull is going to check. So solo hunters often overcall because calling is exciting. They want to build the interaction. They want to feel connected to the elk. But it's the worst thing you can do when you're alone a lot of times. Solo calling rules are simple. Call far less than partnered hunters. You don't have a second body to pull the bull past you. You have to use sound sparingly. Only call when you're in position to kill. Not while hiking, not while approaching, not while repositioning, not while checking ridges. You call when you're set or not at all. Let the bull take the responsibility for closing distance. If he won't move, you move silently until the moment is right. A single soft cow call is often stronger than a full sequence. One authentic sound is believable. A whole series of perfect sounds can be suspicious. If you do bugle, bugle like a satellite, not necessarily a herd bull. A solo hunter pretending to be the dominant bull can be a disaster. The more solo hunters talk, the more bulls locate them. The less solo hunters talk, the more bulls make mistakes. In section 3, we're going to talk about why a lot of hunters don't understand cow talk. Almost every hunter who gets into elk calling wants to bugle. It's exciting. It feels powerful. You feel like you're in the game. But bugling is often the least important sound in the woods. Cow talk drives the rut. Cow talk moves herds. Cow talk builds interest. Cow talk relaxes bulls. Cow talk creates believability. But a lot of hunters misunderstand cow talk because they make the wrong sounds at the wrong time, or overuse estrus calls, or call too loudly, or don't match herd behavior, or call at unnatural intervals, or combine sounds incorrectly, or don't actually listen to what real cows sound like. So here's the truth. Real cows are boring. They don't run elaborate sequences every 2 minutes. They don't scream estrus nonstop. They don't call in predictable patterns. Most of their sounds are soft, subtle, and completely unremarkable. A real cow herd makes soft mews, content contact sounds, tiny whines, occasional chirps, infrequent assembly calls. The volume is usually low. The rhythm is irregular. The intent is subtle. The herd flows naturally. But hunters call like they're performing for the camera. They hit multiple notes, full volume, every minute. It's too clean, too produced, too rehearsed. A real cow herd is messy. That's what makes it believable. If you can master authentic cow talk, authentic, not fancy, you instantly become more dangerous than 90% of the hunters in the woods. In section 4, we're going to talk about drawing elk in versus giving away your location. And here's where things fall apart for a lot of guys. Most calling doesn't draw elk in. Most calling just gives away your location. Elk live in a world of pressure. They've heard hundreds of hunters. They've been called at from roads, ridges, meadows, and benches. They've been called at from the wrong wind direction, the wrong timing, and the wrong urgency. So when you call, you either create curiosity or you create suspicion. Drawing elk in requires proximity, realism, patience, matching mood, perfect thermals, believable timing, authentic volume, minimal noise, a setup the bull can commit to. Giving away your location requires calling too loudly, calling too often, calling from the wrong place, calling while moving, calling without the wind, forcing the interaction, sounding too perfect, not matching the mood of the herd or the bull. Here's the painful truth. If you're calling from a distance, you're usually just exposing your position, not drawing elk in. If you're calling without a plan for what happens next, you're creating uncertainty, not opportunity. If you're calling without cover, elk are going to hang up. They want to see the source of the sound. If you're calling downhill, the bull will circle to wind you every time. If you're calling uphill, the bull will slow down and wait for confirmation. If you're calling in open terrain, bulls refuse to commit. They know exactly where the sound should be coming from. Elk want confirmation. If they can't get it visually or through the wind, they won't close the distance. You don't mess up the call, you mess up the direction, the location, or the timing of your call. In section 5, we want to talk about how to fix overcalling and undercalling. Here's a practical framework. I want to give you a simple field-tested framework that keeps you from blowing your chances. So I want you to start with silence. Let the mountain tell you what mood the elk are in before you contribute. When in doubt, cow call softly and once, not a sequence, not a performance, one believable sound. Respond to the bull. Don't try to control the bull. He will tell you what he's willing to do. Remember, most solo hunters should bugle sparingly. Bugling is a great tool, but not an identity. Don't call until you're in the right position to kill. Calling while approaching ruins a lot of opportunities. Don't overcall a fired up bull. Let him talk. Let him escalate. Rake instead of calling. Let him make the mistakes. Don't undercall a timid bull. A single soft cow sound can give him the confidence to move. Don't call from open ground. Elk want terrain features for confirmation. Don't call without understanding the wind. Calling the wrong wind is handing the bull your position. Calling is an art, not a routine. But when you understand some of these situational factors and the difference between attraction and exposure, you become a far more lethal elk hunter. Overcalling and undercalling come from the same root problem. Hunters calling based on emotion instead of situation. Calling because you want action. Calling because you're excited. Calling because you're frustrated. Calling because you feel like you have to make something happen. When you shift from emotional calling to situational calling, everything changes. You stop chasing bulls. You stop educating bulls. You stop blowing setups. You stop calling at the wrong time. And you begin working with the herd, not against it. You start sounding like a real elk, not a hunter pretending to be one. And you start getting bulls to commit because your calls fit the moment, the mood, and the mountain. Now, if you're serious about mastering calling, not just making sounds, but actually understanding elk behavior at the level where calling becomes strategic, that's exactly why I built Team Backbone. It's more than a membership. It's a way to sharpen your edge with exclusive tools, strategies, and a tribe of hunters who refuse to quit. Inside, you're going to get 20% off site-wide on all Backbone Unlimited gear, a member-only t-shirt shipped to your door every month, not available anywhere else, full access to digital content vault full of guides, checklists, fitness and backcountry strategies and mindset training, a private Facebook group with direct access to me, and a community of driven hunters who live relentless, direct call, text, or email access to me for personalized advice on training, hunting strategy, or just sharpening your edge, and automatic entry into monthly gear giveaways. If you're ready to build the calling foundation you've always wanted, the kind that creates real encounters instead of blown opportunities, Team Backbone is waiting for you at backboneunlimited.com underneath the membership tab. Thanks for being here. Until next time, train harder, hunt smarter, and never settle.